are doing a special edition of Tittle Tattle. Tittle Tattle is the show that Bill Doris and I do. Well, we usually do it once a week. It's a media analysis show for supporters only on Locals, ROKFIN, and Patreon. If you're watching this on Rumble and YouTube right now, you're going to get the first 5 minutes. But after that, you got to be a supporter. It's just a gift we give back to supporters to say thank you. Bill, today we're talking about big news publishers look to team up to address impact of AI. The gist of the article, as I see it, is that basically what they're saying, this is what's in the article. I'm not saying this is the truth, but they feel like they're losing a lot of money. They may be losing a lot of money as these like chat, what is it, GPT or other AI banks are essentially taking information from their published content and then putting it into something original and saying, if you look up a particular search item, that this is their information, this AI platform's information, when really it's coming from the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, News Corp, whatever. So this basically is saying we're going to team up to assess the impact of AI. And it mostly reads like they're assessing the financial impact of AI, basically saying, we're going to become obsolete if these AI platforms, ChatGPT or others, continue to use our information and not give us any money for it. Is that what you read in this article?
Kind of. That's what I read a little bit. I also, I got to tell you, the two big takeaways that I got from this article were, it's the chicken and the egg. If ChatGPT does not have this information to put out, then these companies have nothing to worry about. However, if these companies do not continue to put out content, then they go bankrupt anyway. So it's kind of a double-edged sword in a way. But I will tell you this: my two big takeaways. The context of the article is interesting, but I do want to point out that we'll save that for the meat and potatoes, my second point. But the first point is I do find it very telling that Wall Street Journal, which is all about their money and typically viewed as right-wing, maybe a little conservative journalism, financial news, is meeting with these other companies, which include, was it Axios or who is this other company?
Well, I saw, go back to the article here. It's talking about, just pull it up here. News Corp, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Vox, Condé Nast,
that's it.
Politico. Yeah.
These companies are starting to come together. This is, from a journalistic point of view, this is kind of like a B-list or minor league version of Democrats and Republicans coming together for a bill. It really just seems that way. But I also feel that there's a small part of me, they're like, okay, they're making money off of our content. How can we make money off of our content by using their own stuff against them? Do you see what I'm saying there?
Yeah. So I wanted to show everybody this because the idea for today's Tittle Tattle came from one of my local supporters. So thanks to DMSR, DMC here. The Mockingbird, meaning referring to how the CIA has infiltrated the media. That was Project Mockingbird. The Mockingbird says it's to fight AI, but it's probably to better coordinate regime narratives, as if they could lockstep better than they do already. And then puts the title here, big news publishers look to team up to address impact of AI. I think it's a fair question to ask if it's really just about the money or if it is about control. Now, what I think is kind of weird, though, if you were to think about the impact of AI, and just having read some of this stuff, because my husband is in college right now, he used his GI Bill and back to college at 41, which is funny because you see him communicating with 20-year-olds in college and what they think is real versus, he's been through a few things. And when he looks up the information that he has been requested to find out, and he just checks out like what ChatGPT has to say about it, because we've tested it out just to see, like, because we've heard college students, are like using it left and right. So we're like, oh, let's see what they have to say. it typically is biased towards what the mainstream narrative already is, because it's taking
Yeah.
their information and putting it all together. So it's funny because it'll even say, if you push back on it and you're like, well, that's not really true. What about this study? It'll apologize and say, oh, I'm sorry. You're right. And it'll, but you have to know the subject well enough to fact check the AI. So if they're complaining about, like, if really behind the scenes, it's like, we got to get control of it. I don't know, because it already feels like the AI is biased in the direction that they prefer anyway. So I don't know. Okay, it's been 5.5 minutes, Bill.
Yep.
So we're gonna go. Let's
But
first,
before
though,
we do,
before we do, don't forget, if you want to support the show, go to AllisonWinePromo.com. Are you over 21, Bill? I think you are. So
no,
we can
not at all.
we can enter. No?
Of course.
Okay, just making sure, because it just asked me if you were over 21. Don't forget, AllisonWinePromo.com. Get some Argentinian, well, I think this supposed to be Argentine, Malbecs, high altitude, extremist altitude, 50% off the wine itself, 50% off shipping, best Malbecs out there, and you get to support a great cause, which is my show. And I was telling Bill that with my setup right now, I don't have my studio, so I'm using my laptop with the laptop camera, which is terrible. But the great thing is I never have to put in any makeup, because you really can't tell because the camera's terrible. And Bill, what did you say?
Wait, I didn't say anything.
Yeah, you said, when I told you that, you said, if I have to be the pretty one, this isn't going to work.
Oh, yeah. This isn't going to work, folks. You got to go and support Allison's work, because we got to get her. I don't care if it's Starlink or whatever, better internet. We need to get her set up. We need to get her going again in a regular studio, because if I have to be the pretty one because my camera's better than hers, this show's not going to work at all. Not one bit.
There you go. Okay,
Or
so
you'll need a lot of Malbecs.
you got to get over it. Yeah, you're going to need many, many, many more Malbecs. All of them are at least 1,000 feet. You're going to feel like you're up above in thin air. Wait, what's the saying? Thin air. Anyway, whatever. Go get some wine. If you want to get some awesome coffee, you can also go to twinenginecoffee.com/Allison. High altitude USDA certified organic roast, light roast, dark roast, and a great way to support my work as well. If you're a tea drinker, there is Katura tea. It's very good. It's great for summer. You can cold brew it for 24 hours, which is typically what I do. Put a couple scoops in a mason jar, add some spring water, and drink it iced the next day. Low caffeine, high antioxidants. You feel great after drinking it. So go check out my sponsors. And oh yeah, I need to put the banner back up for twinenginecoffee.com/Allison. So twinenginecoffee.com/Allison, Allison wine promo. Thanks everybody. Okay, let's just do final thoughts, and then we're going to go do supporters only over on locals right now. And then it'll be up for supporters on ROKFIN later. Bill, final thoughts before we do our supporter only section.
Yeah, my biggest final thoughts is, why are you not supporting Allison's work on her platforms where she makes some money? Because we all know the YouTube algorithm is not pushing out the work of real journalists like Allison Morrow, journalism's last outlaw. So make sure you go follow her and click the things that make the dings that gets her paid. That's the big thing.
This is hilarious. When I couldn't think of the saying with the high altitude, extremist altitude wine, Bill Van Ram, Allison Biden impression. Yes, I can.
If you do a Biden, well, I would do a Biden impression, but I would fall, and my insurance doesn't pay for that. So,
okay, so real fast, Kira, perfect timing on joining in. ChatGPT is an AI collecting computer that is gathering data on human interaction and reactions. Not good. I will say, I am very skeptical of it and its use, because I think it just makes it harder to get alternative viewpoints, because of the fact that it is using these, quote, authoritative sources, as Susan Wojcicki would call them, and then just telling you that this is the truth. And then unless you already know the topic well enough to fact check it, you're going to get totally played by AI. You're going to think that's all there is. And it's just another, to me, it's another information war tool that's going to be used by the powerful special interests to brainwash us. On the other hand, when we talk about the media companies joining together, anytime the media companies join together for any cause, that makes the hair on my neck stand up. But I'll tell you what, I interviewed Cliff Mass. He's a professor at the University of Washington, atmospheric sciences. And he said, whenever you see the terms existential and threat together, that you should be very careful. if that's in the media, any media you're reading. And what does this say?
Yeah.
Collaboration among competitive large publishers is rare, and the talks are indicative of the quote existential threat generative AI technology represents both to the industry and society. And Cliff basically was like, they're lying to you anytime you see the words existential threat together in any article. And the second final thing I'll say before we go is the last sort of big time we heard about a collaboration, and keep in mind, they want us to know about it. So you have to also ask that question. Why
Mhm.
are they telling us about it? Why is Wall
Yep.
Street Journal putting it out there? Is it to run interference on the narrative ahead of time? Is it because there's some kind of marketing scheme they think is interwoven in this? I mean, anytime they're telling you something, you have to say, like, why? Like, what are they trying to achieve by telling us this? Because they could keep it a secret, right? The Wall Street Journal is telling us that they, along with these other major companies, are doing this. So they want us to know. The question is why? The second thing, though, is that the last time that there was sort of this big publicly discussed conglomeration of media companies working on information was during COVID. It was a like
Mm.
trusted news initiative, I think is what it was called. And it
Yeah.
was like, hey, we're all going to get together and make sure that all of our information aligns on COVID because there's a threat, right? Just this like existential threat again to people not doing what is supposed to be done related to COVID and COVID policy, COVID treatments, whatever. So I think it's fair to say what's going on this time. Okay, if you want to hear more about our thoughts, or you want to ask us questions directly, or you just want to support my work and you don't like wine or coffee, you should go over to Locals right now. We will see you over there. Okay, thanks to everyone.